But my tradition crowd, heads up, because this episode of Big Boy Pants Golf is going to break your heart. The PGA Tour has just approved radical schedule changes, reducing fields in elevated events and ending cuts. This was rumored to happen months ago, but apparently the rumors are becoming reality for 2024. The designated events, there are 13 of them, plus the 4 majors. It's confusing because these designated events are events that are elevated and therefore include the majors. So if you qualify for the majors, you have a total designated events of 17. Only the PGA Tour could make it so confusing by using designated and elevated somewhat interchangeably, somewhat not. Anyway, this new model reminds me a whole lot of a model that was just started by another league that started last year. Now let's get into this article by the master of darkness himself, Eamon Lynch. The PGA Tour board on Tuesday night ratified a radical new approach for the 2024 schedule that will see reduced fields in the new designated events and the removal of the 36-hole cut.
Just where does the PGA Tour go from here on this day, as it seems to change by the hour what's happening?
Yeah, we're constantly evolving. I couldn't be more excited about where we go from here, Jim.
It's crazy how many PGA Tour fanboys will be on Twitter telling you, well, there's only 4 or 6 or 7 or 8 tournaments out of the 43 or 46 PGA Tour tournaments each year that don't meet the OWGR standards. What are they going to say now? Let's break this down and now look at how many of the PGA Tour events won't abide by the criteria set forth to get OWGR points.
When you look at the World Golf Ranking, yes, there are no points on that series. There's a process you go through.
These now no-cut events are still getting OWGR points. Did they go through the paperwork and the whole process, or was it sped up and pushed through somehow?
There's specific criteria, and that's adjudicated by the official World Golf Ranking Board.
It's getting ridiculous. Fields and designated events will be reduced to between 70 and 78 players with no halfway cut. The changes will not apply to all of the elevated events. The majors, the Players' Championship, and the FedEx Cup playoff tournaments will be unaffected. 2 sources familiar with the details confirmed the changes to the Golf Week. Designated events were launched this year in an effort to guarantee the presence of the game's top stars and to ensure they are paid more, with minimum purses of $20 million in each event. Due to the haste with which the designated events came out, a direct response to the threat posed by LIV Golf, no changes were made to field sizes for 2023. That won't apply when the tour returns to a calendar year schedule in 2024. Wow, things changed fast. All these fears by the outside the top 50 or so PGA Tour players are coming true. It's a 2-tier system, and the top tier of PGA Tour doesn't care about the second tier of the PGA Tour. Fend for yourselves, gentlemen. Reducing field sizes is surely to cause concern among rank-and-file members who will see it as the denial of playing opportunities.
But those ranking points are, a critical element to why the best players in the world are out here playing.
Remember when Golf Digest put out this article about the criteria for OWGR points that LIV may not meet, including number 5, a 36-hole cut, whether playing 54 or 72 holes?
In this pure and true competition against the depth of field that we have.
However, one top player who spoke on condition of anonymity, that's always reliable, says the plan will have opportunities for members to play their way into designated stops and will not create a closed ecosystem for elite stars. Condition of anonymity. I'm betting possibly that this never happened. I'm also betting that there actually is going to be a closed ecosystem for elite stars. Now let's look at the remaining portion of this article and see how close this new top tier ecosystem will in fact actually be. We want top players and hot players, the source said. So does LIV. That's why they took 5 of the top 10 PIP money winners from the first year. And PIP is based on basically your popularity. LIV sucked up a lot of these top players and hot players. Now we get into some numbers. Fields at designated events will be comprised of the top 50 players who qualify for the BMW Championship during the previous season's FedEx Cup playoffs, plus the top 10 players not otherwise eligible on the current FedEx Cup points race. There will also be 5 places earned through performance in non-designated events. So here you go. You got 50 plus 10 plus 5, 65, and only 5 of which are from the second tier players. The article continues. For example, the goal is to have a cadence to the calendar that would see 2 designated events followed by 3 non-designated tournaments, then another 2 designated. The top 5 point earners from the 3 non-designated events would earn their way into the next designated events. Any player who wins on tour would automatically be eligible for every designated event that season. I don't understand how any player who wins on tour that season automatically qualifies for the designated events during that season. I don't know if it bumps up the number from 65 to 66 to 67 as all these other lesser second tier events also provide winners who are now eligible for designated events. Don't ask me on this one. It's vague. It'll actually be probably a point of contention coming up, and someone else will have to explain it. Yo no sé. Other qualification criteria will include consideration of the official World Golf Ranking, most likely with a focus on the top 30. This could mean that the OWGR now is less significant because typically it was the top 50, and that would help you get into the Masters, the British, and the US Open, not the PGA Championship. Again, this will also have to be hashed out with more information, as this is breaking news. I'm breaking it now. That is intended to accommodate a top player who may be returning from injury and otherwise ineligible for designated events. You got the OWGR still around. But here, what are we going to do to get Tiger into events? Sponsor exemptions will also remain in use, though with more defined parameters on who is eligible to receive one. Such exemptions are a controversial feature of designated events, but that free pass also represents the most obvious way to ensure Tiger Woods can play any event he wishes to. So here's the double standard. For the LIV Golf Tour, if a player is on a team and they think he's not qualified to be in the top 48 or on the LIV Golf Tour, he's poo-pooed as an unworthy addition to LIV. But on the PGA Tour, you can just use this get-out-of-jail-free card called the sponsor's exemption, and then anyone can show up and just say, hey, he was a sponsor exemption. Keep this in mind. For the Memorial Golf Tournament last year, Charles Howell III was such a hot commodity that they gave him a sponsor's exemption to get in the field. Tour executives ran multiple data simulations of how a season would play out to ensure sufficient churn in the system. Proposals from top players at their meeting in Delaware last summer called for smaller fields and no cuts, but their criteria would have seen 80% of players remain in the elevated events from season to season. There's your closed ecosystem, proposed by who? The top players at this meeting in Delaware. So when this meeting in Delaware took place, everyone was like, these guys are coming together to save the PGA Tour, legacy, tradition. No, it was a cash grab for themselves. And these heroes of the PGA Tour created a system that would have seen 80% of players remain in the elevated events from season to season.
Because those players have chosen to sign multi-year lucrative contracts to play in a series of exhibition matches against the same players over and over again.
That's less churn in the system than the LIV Golf Tour will have next year. At least with LIV, only the top 24 are guaranteed spots for the next year. The structure ratified by the board projects that only 60% of those eligible for designated events would remain so for the following season. That's probably similar to what LIV has going on right now. Where's the outcry now? Why aren't they pushing for all these OWGR? We need more Q School opportunities. We need more Monday qualifiers. These top guys of the PGA Tour, when they met in Delaware, tried to create a system that would close the door behind them on other players who are up and coming. It's a big money grab. It's pathetic, and I'm acknowledging it right now, and you should too. A PGA Tour spokesperson declined to confirm any details of the plan to Golf Week. A memo explaining the changes will be sent to tour members later Wednesday. So much for this whole meritocracy. We're going to be stuck with Justin Thomas wearing kid-sized clothes with FootJoy leather shoes for the foreseeable future.
You look at this incredible group of young, talented, international emerging members.
And apparently look for ways to keep them out of these designated events, which guarantee official World Golf Ranking points, so that they'll always be completely shut out of this closed loop system that you've now created. Share, subscribe, and like. Not necessarily in that order.